it's Alice and welcome to this reading vlog. I haven't done a reading vlog in ages and I just kind of felt like making one because it's summer, I have some time off work, hopefully I'll be doing quite a lot of reading, so I just thought it could be fun. I'm not a huge summer person. It is by far my least favorite season and it's actually really hot today and I don't like it, guys. It's not for me. But the good thing about summer is that my favorite season is right after it, so I'm looking forward to that, which is great. And there are some things I like I really love ice cream. I like reading, and I do like reading summary type books in summer. And I really like having an extended period of time off of work. Like, that's pretty amazing. I don't really have any travel plans or anything like that this year. I just decided to just have like time off and not make a lot of plans, so I only have like some friends I'm meeting. I'm going to a couple of places, but it's all near me and it's all just very chill. I just feel like I need to recharge, and I do also want to read quite a lot. And yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I want to read, but we are going to start this vlog off with this book because I did start it yesterday when I think I need to reread the parts that I read because I read them in bed and I was so sleepy, so I don't really know if I got a lot of it, but I did kind of read the beginning of this, only like 20 pages. This is a book that I've sort of been saving for summer because it's set on a Greek island and it just feels like a very summery book, so I want to read it now, otherwise I would probably wait until next summer and then I may have forgotten about it, but it's a new release as well and I kind of just want to read it now. So this will be my first read for this vlog. I'm intrigued about this. I really wonder how it's gonna go. Now, you may know that this author is probably most famous for his book The Silent Patient, which I have read, and I've also read his second book, The Maidens, and I don't remember a lot of The Silent Patient. I liked it, I think. I remember more from The Maidens, but The Maidens was also like sort of middling. And so I wouldn't say that it's like this is one of my favorite authors, but I do keep buying his books because they always sound so good. And this one is about a group of friends who get stuck on a Greek island and someone is murdered there. So it's kind of like a closed circle mystery, which I really like. And yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to read it, so I'm gonna give it a go. The only thing is though, I've heard so many mixed things about this book. Like, a lot of people that have read it don't really seem to like it. So, I don't know. I feel like that was the same with The Maidens though. And I would say that I read it, I enjoyed it, it was worth the read. And that's kind of what I'm guessing this is gonna be as well. I'm not expecting it to like blow my mind. I just think it's gonna be like a fun, interesting, atmospheric, summer type mystery. Like I said, I don't remember a lot of what I read last night, but the introduction was interesting and the voice, like the narrative voice, is interesting, where there's like a person telling the story and a person introducing us to the characters, and there's stuff like whoever they are, they're like, oh, I'm not going to insert my opinion yet, like I'll try to hold off on that, and it's like an interesting way to tell a story, and I'm wondering how I'm gonna get on with that, but it's an interesting choice. Other than this, I don't have any specific reading plans for this video. I'll try to read like 2-3 books at least, but I don't have a set TBR. I'm just gonna go with the flow, see where the wind takes me, and yeah, we'll see how this is gonna go. I'm excited, but also a little nervous. We'll see. Alright, so it's been a couple of days and I've just been enjoying my time off of work. I love not working. And I've just been relaxing, and you may have seen some shots of it. I went to the castle downtown, like the royal castle, and we actually went on a tour on the inside of it. We weren't allowed to film or take any pictures. I don't really get that. I don't know why, but we weren't allowed to, but it was nice to see. And I did go to like a little museum next to it, which was also like a part of like the royal family thing, which was interesting. It was a nice little trip downtown. And yeah, that's kind of all I've been up to. I've also been reading, and I did finish The Fury. So let's talk about it. Now, this seems to have gotten some really mixed reviews, and to be honest, I kind of get it. I feel like I have this idea that I just really like this author, but I don't know if I actually do. I always enjoyed the books, but I'm always thinking that I'm gonna be blown away, and then I'm not. And this just, I don't know about this. There were parts that I really liked and some parts that I didn't like, and it is a little bit different, I'll give it that. I don't know if I told you, but the story is about these people who go to this private Greek island, and the woman who owns the island, she is like a movie star, and it's very much set in that sort of actor theater world, and she's retired and she's bringing along a group of friends, and there are all of these intrigues, and the story is told from the perspective of one of the friends who, throughout the book, you realize that he's kind of obsessed with this woman, and it gets like more and more is revealed throughout the book about what he's actually like. And I did kind of like that, but he's the one telling the story, right? And the narrative voice is a little different, and I can't entirely tell if I liked it, to be honest. I think I'm gonna have to let this marinate a little bit, but it feels very much like a 3 out of 5 star read. I had a I think it was a comment on Instagram the other day that was just like, you're always just like, I liked it, I enjoyed it, 3 out of 5 stars. Honestly, yeah, that's how I feel about most books. But yeah, I feel like this might be that. It does do a thing though that like I found really annoying, and maybe it's just me, but I just got really annoyed at it. This book does that thing, which usually is kind of cool when you read a book, where you come across the title in the text. So you find out why the book is called The Fury. And The Fury is basically like a reference to the wind that can be on this island that is like furious, like this furious wind. And that came up pretty early on. It was like blah blah blah, the fury, the wind, and I was like, ooh, that's cool. This book mentions the fury like 10 times throughout it, and I'm just like, I got it. Like I got it. And I feel like it was just a little much, and like it's not that deep, this wind, and I just felt like it was trying to make it into something that it wasn't. And like one of the characters eventually is like, I turned into the fury, and I'm like, I don't know if I like that. I do think this was a solid summer read though. Like I'm glad I read it in summer, even though it's technically set in spring. It is set in like a summery type place, and there's like a beach and all of that. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna have to think about this a little bit because I can't quite make up my mind, and I just finished it. But yeah, sort of middle of the road. I'm not blown away. I probably like The Maidens more than I like this, which by the way, this does make reference to his 2 other books, like both The Maidens and The Silent Patient. And I remember when I read The Maidens, there was a reference to The Silent Patient in that, and I was like, that's kind of cool. So it's all set in the same universe, and I do really like that. Like I think that's a fun little like Easter egg for those of us who have read the book. I saw some people say that like the end of this book is like a huge spoiler for The Maidens. I guess it kind of is, but I don't remember that much from The Maidens, so don't take my word for it. But yeah, I don't know, maybe you should read them in order. I don't know if it really matters. Now that I've finished this though, I'm in that in-between space where I don't really know what to read, except I do know what I want to read, and it's a book that I don't have. So I'm gonna go get it. I very rarely just like go get a book and read it immediately. Like usually it will be like I will haul it and it might be a while. I need to read this book right now. I just have to. So we're gonna go to the bookstore and just get it because I want to read it now and I don't want to put it off. I don't want it to be one of those books that I just put off for ages because I think I'm gonna love it and then I just save it. I want to read it and love it right now. So we gotta go to the bookstore. To anyone, I cannot be trusted in any bookstore ever. I got way more books than I went in there for, and the book that I went for isn't even in this bag because I started reading it yesterday. It's the next day, by the way, but I did find it. The book that I went for was The God of the Woods by Liz Moore, which is a new release. You may have seen it around, it's been everywhere. Liz Moore is one of my favorite authors, actually. I've read 2 of her books and I've loved both of them. And this is one of my most anticipated releases of the year, and I just had to get it. And I started reading it on the subway on the way home yesterday, and then I read in the evening and before I went to bed, and already it's amazing. I'll tell you a little bit more about this in a minute, plus another book that I'm currently reading that I forgot to tell you about. But I wanted to show you the other books that I got as well. We're gonna do a little mini book haul. The first thing that I got is actually not a book at all. I got a notebook and some pens because I'm starting school again in a week, which, like, I got into those studies in spring. So I've known that this is gonna happen for a while, but all of a sudden it's here and I am slightly panicking a little bit. I'm excited, but I'm also kind of nervous, but I wanted to get this just to have it on hand. I don't know how many notes I'll be taking by hand. I imagine most of the notes are gonna be like computer notes, but I thought it would be handy to just have because I do like making actual like physical notes sometimes. By the way, the light is really shifty today, so if it keeps changing, sorry about that. It's just the sun. Anyways, let me show you the books that I got. The first one that I picked up is this one, which I've never heard anyone talk about. I've never seen this book, but I saw this cover and I was like, that looks very intriguing. It's a really, really good cover design. It's called Chlorine by Jade Song, and it says on the back here that this is a mesmerizing tale of sapphic longing, intense obsession, and fierce, defiant becoming. And apparently it's about this girl or woman, I don't know how old she is, who is a swimmer, and she loves swimming, but I think she wants to become a mermaid, which I don't know how that's gonna work. I don't know if this is like kind of like fantasy or it's just like a regular novel. I have no idea, but I am intrigued to read some more mermaid books, so I got it. It was a little bit of cover buy, I'm not gonna lie, but every once in a while you just need to get one of those too. I mean, you don't need to, but I need to. I do have a good feeling about it though, but I don't really know what I'm basing that feeling on. The second book I also have a good feeling about, although I feel like I have more reason to have a good feeling about it. This is Forgotten on Sunday by Valerié, Perrin. And I read Freshwater for Flowers by this author a couple of months ago, and it's one of my favorite books that I've ever read. So I want to read some more of her work. I haven't looked up any of her other books. I just saw this in the bookshop and I was like, oh yeah, I should read more by her, of course. I think that this may have been her debut, and it's translated from French, just like Freshwater for Flowers. And it's about, to be honest, it doesn't really matter what this book is about to me because I just want to read more of this author's work. But I will tell you, it's about this woman who's 21 years old, and since the death of her parents has lived with her grandparents and her cousin, and she works at a retirement home, and she bonds with a resident close to turning 100 years, and the two women slowly reveal their stories to one another. I really like that. And then trouble arrives in the form of a mysterious phone call that leads to a shocking revelation and shakes the retirement home to its core. I love that. It sort of sounds like a book about unlikely friendship, and like these two women are going to become friends, but they have a really huge age gap, which is that's the thing I really like in books. So I'm very excited about that. And I loved the writing in Freshwater for Flowers and just like the way the characters were written. So super excited to have this. I'm sure it's going to be great. I did see one more book by this author in the bookstore and I didn't get it. So I do have a little bit of restraint in me somewhere, but I did get another 3 books. So actually maybe not. The next one that I got is also translated. This is What You Are Looking For is in the Library by Michiko Aoyama, and this is a book that I've seen around and I just really want to read it. I love reading Japanese translations and I've heard a lot of really good things about this book. It's about this librarian who just instinctively knows what every person who comes into the library needs, and I'm guessing the book is structured like we get to learn about this librarian, but also the stories of the people who come into the library. I don't know. I think it's gonna be really good. I've heard a lot of really good things. The next book that I got, I actually don't know how I didn't know that this book was even coming out. I didn't know this was a thing, but André Aciman has published a new novel. I had no idea, but this is the author of Call Me By Your Name, which is one of my favorite romance books. It's an amazing book. This is The Gentleman from Peru. Gentleman from Peru. And I just got this on a whim. To be honest, I saw it and I was like, oh, I love that author. I'm gonna get that. The cover is also really summery. Maybe I should read this book for this vlog. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that, but I may start it. But it like looks very summery, so I kind of want to read it before summer is over. And the story sounds really intriguing. It's about a group of college friends, which I love. I love books about like groups of friends, especially if they're college friends. And they are marooned at a luxurious hotel on the Amalfi Coast in Italy because their boat is being repaired. And it says that they are sort of like observing the other people at the hotel. There's this mysterious white-bearded stranger who sits on the veranda each night. And then they invite this traveler to have lunch with them. And he has some miraculous abilities and strange wisdom and a life-changing story. Sounds really good. I don't know. I really like this author. This also looks like kind of like a quick read. It's only 169 pages and the font is pretty big. Maybe I should just read this right away. I'm gonna read The God of the Woods first, but maybe I'll read this after. It looks really good. I really like this cover design as well. And I'm excited to read some more by this author. I have only read Call Me By Your Name, so I can't really say that it's like a favorite author yet, but yeah, I really want to read this. Now, the last book that I got mostly just because I've seen a lot of other people reading this book and it seems quite popular at the moment. I bet what's going to happen though is that I'm really excited about it right now and then I'm going to put it on my shelves and not read it for 3 years. So when all of the hype is dead, I will read it, but I got it now. It's Hello Beautiful by Napolitano, I think. And I've just seen this around a lot and I'm pretty sure it's about a group of friends. Oh, it says on the back, best friends and sisters. There are 4 girls who are part of this close-knit Italian-American neighborhood, and I guess we follow them maybe. There is something about a guy who grew up in a house silenced by tragedy, and he meets one of these women, and it's as if the world has lit up around him. And it says that with her comes her family and all of her sisters. Sylvie, the family's dreamer, Cecilia, a free-spirited artist, and Emmeline patiently takes care of all of them. Then I think the past of this guy comes back to haunt him and haunt the whole family. I have no idea, but I'm very excited. It says on the back, Hello Beautiful is a heartbreaking and heart-mending novel that asks, can love make a broken family whole? I don't know, but I'm gonna read this and find out, I guess. Anyways, that was my little mini summer book haul. Very excited about all of these. There is something really lovely about just going into a bookshop and picking up a bunch of stuff, which is why I always end up getting so many books when I go to a bookshop. I really can't go to them at all. I should just, well, you know, I do like getting books and it's all fine, but I really should restrain myself. Anyways, let me tell you about these books that I'm currently reading. Like I mentioned, I started this yesterday. I read a pretty good chunk. I read 74 pages and I'm about to start the second part. Now this is a mystery novel, but it's historical fiction. It's set in like the 70s, but I'm wondering if we're gonna maybe go even further back a little bit. I don't really know. But we're following basically these people at this summer camp. So it's a summer camp for kids and teenagers, and it's run by this really wealthy family. And it's set, where is it set in the world? It's in America somewhere. I can't remember, but it's like in the forest somewhere. And there's this wealthy family and they run this camp, or at least they own it. They don't really run it. And the book starts with one of the counselors at the camp waking up and finding one of the kids, or like one of the teenagers, to be missing. And so she's the first person that we meet, and we learn a little bit about her. And then we sort of get into the fact that this girl has gone missing. And then the reason that I'm thinking we're gonna go back in time as well is that apparently another kid has gone missing at this camp before, and it's the son of this really wealthy family that owns the estate, and they never found him, and that seems to have happened quite a long time ago. The book sort of switches between the time when this other girl has gone missing and like at the beginning of summer camp, and we're following like it's changing between different characters. So we're following this camp counselor, we're following one of the girls who goes to the camp, and we're following, I think it's the mother of the missing boy who went missing a while ago, and she is like a part of this wealthy family. She's married into the wealthy family. And so far we're just sort of getting to know them. We're getting the setup. They're involving the police now because they cannot find this girl. Just flipping through it now, I can see that we are gonna move a little bit back in time because it has all of these different like timelines here. So it says 1950s, 1961, winter 1973, June 1975, July 1975, and August 1975. And so far we've only been to the ones in 1975. So I'm very excited about this. The thing is, it's really difficult, like when I'm talking about the book now, I don't know if I'm really, I don't know if I can really tell you that already this book is so good. Like the way that it's written is really, really good. And when I started reading it, like the first 20 pages, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this writing. This is why I like Liz Moore so much. There's something I really like about it so far. In part, I think it's because in a way it feels like a character-driven novel, even though we have this mystery and things are happening. We are focusing quite a lot on the characters and we're really getting to know them already. So that is like one of my favorite things. But then there's something about the way it's written that is like kind of tense. And there's a lot of tension in all of the perspectives, and you can tell that there are things that you're gonna be, like things are gonna be revealed to you as you go, because it sort of makes hints to things, but it doesn't really tell you outright, and I really, really like it. It's one of those books where I feel like, I don't want to jinx it, but I feel like it could be a 5-star read because it just feels like one of those books already. I really should not be flipping through this like that because I'll find a spoiler somewhere. I saw a name that I haven't seen yet, so I think we're gonna have even more perspectives. I don't know. It's really good so far. I don't really know how to explain it, but I'm really, really enjoying it. And I'm really, really glad that I went and got this now and I started reading it now because it feels like a very summery type of read because it's set at like a summer camp. Like it's perfect to read when it's summer. I'll update you a little bit more once I've read a little bit more. It does feel like one of those books where when I've read another like 100 pages, I don't think I'm gonna be able to stop. So we'll see. But so far, really, really good. Fingers crossed for a 5-star read. Now, I am also reading this book. I have been reading this for a week now, and I just forgot to mention it. It's The Art Thief by Michael Finkel. This is a nonfiction book and sort of like a true crime book, and it's a biography about this art thief who was like one of the most prolific art thieves ever. And yeah, so far it's interesting. It's not blowing my mind so far, but it is interesting. Basically, this art thief like stole stuff estimated to be worth like $2 billion or something. Like they stole a lot, and they're kind of like a couple, but the guy is the one that's like mainly the art thief and the woman is just sort of there, but they are a couple and they live together. Basically, they stole all of this stuff just to have it, which is really interesting. Like they never sold, or at least so far, they haven't sold any of the stuff that they've stolen. They just steal things to have it in their like little 2 rooms in their house. It's so weird. I am quite enjoying it though, because these people are just very like fascinating. Like I don't know what's going on in their heads, but it's interesting. So I am reading this. It's going kind of slowly because I'm reading all of these other books that are, you know, I'm gonna prioritize this because I'm really, really into this. But I'm enjoying it. I'm happy that I've started it. Now, I think that was my update. I'm gonna go read this. Maybe I'm gonna go read outside today. It's a really beautiful day today. I hope that the weather is gonna be as good tomorrow, because tomorrow I'm going to this really beautiful garden that I've wanted to go to since I found it. It's like a little bit outside of Oslo, so we're gonna drive there and have a look, and hopefully it will not be raining. I think I would enjoy it anyway, but I think it would be probably a little bit more enjoyable to actually have like a summery day out there. So fingers crossed the weather holds. This is a 5 out of 5 star. God, this book was good. Every time I read a really good book, I never really know how to talk about it because what makes it so good, I don't really know. It just is. I would say that this is a literary mystery. Like, I feel like that's a good way to explain it. Like, it feels quite literary in the way that it's written, like it reads like literary fiction, but then we do have these mysteries as well, and that's sort of what drives the story forward, and it's just done really well. I think I mentioned that it feels a little bit like a character-driven book in a way, but there is plot in here, and that is what's driving the story forward. But I just think the characters are so well done that you just connect to them really well, and it's also quite atmospheric. There is something atmospheric in general about a sort of summer camp and like teenagers at a summer camp, but it's done really well, and I loved like the feeling of the woods, and just it's just so well done. I also quite like the sort of atmosphere of the house of these rich people by the camp, and they have like these parties, and I loved all of that as well. I just think it's really well written and like a well crafted novel. I do think though, like I always try to, when I read a book, I always like when I'm gonna talk about it, I always try to think like, who is this book for? And I would say that if you just want like a straight up mystery thriller, I don't know if this is the one, because it is a little bit, it's not necessarily slow, but I would say that it's maybe a little bit slower than some mystery thrillers, and it's not like an action-packed plot, if that makes sense. Like, it is, I don't know, it is a little bit slower maybe, like it's not an action mystery. There are exciting parts in here, but it's the kind of mystery that sort of flows through the characters in a way, and everything's like slowly unraveling and slowly being revealed. I really like those kinds of books where things are revealed as you go along and things are sort of hinted at and you don't know right away. I really enjoy that. I also really liked the ending of this. I can imagine maybe some people would not be that happy with parts of the ending, maybe, but I think it worked quite well. I thought it was a good choice, and I really liked it. I don't really know what else to say. It was just like really, really good, and I had such a good time reading it, and I, like, when I got to a certain point, I couldn't stop reading. Like, I just needed to read it. But it's also one of those books where I almost didn't want to read it because I didn't want it to end. But I had to. Like, I had to just know what was going to happen to all of these characters. So, yeah. One of my favorite books that I've read this year. I would really, really recommend it. Like, it's just really well done. I am, because this was so good, now that I've finished it, I am in that like mind space where I don't really know what to read next. I don't know if I want to read anything next. It's almost like a sort of book hangover. But I do want to start my next read because I want to read it this summer and I should just get on it. So I'm going to read, for the first time ever, Anne of Green Gables, because I've never read this book, but I really should. I also want to, and now I have this absolutely gorgeous edition of this book. Like, this book, like this edition is so beautiful, and I think this is gonna be a little bit of a tone shift from this, but I think that's gonna be a good thing, because I think it would be nice to read something not necessarily lighter, but just a little bit different. I don't think anyone's getting murdered in this book. If there's like a mystery in here, I have completely misunderstood this book. I don't think that's what it is. All I really know about this story is just like things that I've picked up from like being alive. It's about a girl who's adopted by this family. It's set in Canada, and I think the family wants a boy, and then they get her, and she's quite like fierce and feisty, and I don't know. I can't wait to meet her. I feel like I have an idea of who Anne is, and I wonder if it is what I, like, if she is the way that I think she is. I've never seen any movies, I've never seen any adaptations, I haven't seen the show, nothing. So I'm kind of going into this a little bit blind and just, I don't know. I think I'm gonna like it based on the fact that so many people have recommended it to me, so many of you have recommended it to me, and you keep telling me that I'm gonna like it, so I hope I will. So this was really lovely, and I really enjoyed this. I read it in only like a couple of days, and it was so nice to just dive into this wonderful world with a wonderful character. I think in a lot of ways this book is what I expected it to be, but it also took me by surprise with certain things, and I especially loved getting to know Anne. I don't know if I realized how much I would love her, and she's just so imaginative and romantic, and she just sees the beauty in so many things, and it's so beautiful to see the world through her eyes. I can imagine this would have been a favorite as a child, and it must be a lovely read when you're younger as well, but I do feel like this is one of those books where when you read it as an adult, it's still like really magical and really good. It's not quite a 5-star read for me. I do think that because I read this right after The God of the Woods, which really like blew me away, this isn't quite like a 5-star read in a way because of that, but I think maybe on a reread it will be a 5-star book. I don't really know, but it's definitely a book I would like to read several times throughout my life and revisit because it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful story. I'm also really glad that I read this in summer. Even though this is set over like a couple of years actually, I didn't realize that this would take us through all of the seasons and everything in several years. I think I thought that this was maybe just set over a summer, but it's set over like, I think she's 11 when we meet her and 16 when we leave her, and yeah, I really liked all of the descriptions of the nature and the seasons, and I could really picture Green Gables, even though I've never been to Canada and I don't really know what it looks like because it's set on Prince Edward Island, which is a real place. No idea what that place looks like, but I felt like I could really imagine it and like I was really there. It was also the perfect book to sort of round off my summer reading. I've really enjoyed these past couple of weeks reading these like more summery type books. It's been really fun. But now I am ready for fall. I feel like I kind of want to get into more fall-like books now. It's maybe a little early, but I don't know, people put up their Christmas trees really early as well, so I feel like people should just get to do what they want. That is gonna be the end of this reading vlog though. I'm still reading, by the way, The Art Thief. I've read a couple of chapters more, but I haven't gotten that far into it, but I am still reading it and I'm still enjoying it. But I'm gonna end the vlog here because I think it's getting quite long. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you as always for hanging out with me, and I will see you soon. Bye!